Pomp, pageantry, and armored tanks. President Trump creates a different kind of fireworks this 4th of July as the country celebrates this Independence Day. John Yang begins our reporting.
All of you aspired to be Americans.
This July 4th, Vice President Pence welcomed newly naturalized citizens at a Washington, D.C. ceremony. 44 people from 26 countries celebrated their new nation's Independence Day. In Iowa, neighborhood parades became part of the 2020 campaign trail as several Democratic contenders spent the day politicking. Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont took time to speak to supporters at a new campaign outpost in Ames.
What we need is an unprecedented grassroots movement of millions of people. That's how we change America.
In the aptly named Independence, Iowa, former Vice President Joe Biden ran along the parade route. He also took a jab at President Trump's Salute to America ceremony in Washington.
4th of July is to celebrate our togetherness. It says, we the people, we the people. And it talks about honor and dignity, and it's missing now, and it's hurting us terribly.
Biden was not the only presidential hopeful to criticize Mr. Trump. California Senator Kamala Harris yesterday in West Des Moines.
I don't think he understands. This is America's birthday, not his birthday. You know, he wants to have a military parade. Why don't you think about military families?
And South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg spoke to reporters today after marching in a Storm Lake, Iowa parade.
This should not be a political event. Nothing about 4th of July should be reduced to politics. And I think, you know, reducing our nation to tanks and shows of muscle just makes us look like the kind of loudmouth guy at the bar.
Back in Washington, signs of the president's event were in the background during the annual parade. Onlookers cheered as a birthday cake for America floated by and a giant Uncle Sam flew overhead. It was just blocks away from the military hardware parked in front of the Lincoln Memorial. Besides armored vehicles, the White House has arranged for flyovers by warplanes, including F-35 fighter jets and the Blue Angels. Both the White House and the Pentagon have declined to put a price tag on the event, but the National Park Service is diverting $2.5 million intended for park repairs. For his part, Mr. Trump tweeted, "The cost of our great salute to America will be very little compared to what it is worth." For the PBS NewsHour, I'm John Yang.
Our White House correspondent Yamiche Alcindor is on the National Mall, and she joins me now. Hello, Yamiche. So we've seen some images of those tanks. We know there's going to be a military jet flyover. How unusual is it for the president himself to play a prominent role on the 4th of July and to make sure that the military is front and center on this day we think about our history?
Well, it's really unprecedented for the president to hold a July 4th address alongside military equipment and military leaders. The president said he wants to honor America and really celebrate all this military equipment that he's excited is being made in the Oval Office this week. He said that there are tanks being made in Ohio and he wants people to see them. That being said, there are politics at play here. The Republican National Committee was giving out VIP donor tickets to Republican donors. There are also people that are close to the president that are going to have really good seats here. The other thing to note is that the president is really excited about this, but there is a lot of criticism about the president really using the military in this way. I've been talking to former military officials who tell me it's, quote, ridiculous for the president to essentially force military leaders to stand behind him and stand next to him. They also said that this is really the stuff of dictators, that in Russia or North Korea you see military parades like this, but here in America you don't see that. That being said, the president says he is excited to address this crowd.
And Yamiche, you're standing in front of the president's going to be speaking in front of the Lincoln Memorial, a place that is fraught with meaning, certainly fraught with American history. What do we know about what the president is going to say in his speech tonight?
Well, the president has said that he's really going to be talking about the history of America, talking about the role of America. He said that he's excited to speak about all the different military equipment that we have. This is really a president who is trying to put patriotism at the center of his presidency. I talked to a retired four-star general, General Jack Keane. He says that the president's intentions are genuine and that he thinks that the public should get a chance to see the military and touch the military equipment. His point that he made to me was that only 1% of the population serves in the military, so so people should really be able to get up close and personal. That said, I talked to Donald K. Sherman of the Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington. That's a watchdog group. He said that the president is putting special interests above the American people. He said that because there are VIP donors, Republican donors, who are going to have better seats here, the American public, because there is going to be people that didn't have tickets that are going to be way far back still listening to the president.
And Yamiche, you were telling us you've been hearing about the cost of this event and about how there have been some complaints about that.
There have been, the biggest concern from critics of the president has been that he's spending too much money on this and that this is really a waste of money for the president to have a vanity project. I spoke to a D.C. government official. That person told me that D.C. still hasn't been paid back for the $7.3 million that they spent during inauguration in 2017 for President Trump. Also, Eleanor Holmes Norton, she's a representative for the D.C. in Congress. She also is pointing out that the D.C. government has not been paid back. That being said, the blame is really all around. The president had said that D.C. was going to get paid back, and other presidents have pushed Congress to appropriate that money to D.C., but in this case, the president didn't do that. So you could blame Congress, you could blame the president.
And finally, Yamiche, you've been out talking to people, to visitors on the mall. What are they telling you?
We spoke to a lot of different people on the mall today. Our team's been out since 6:30 in the morning. I want to first play some sound of Diane Atkins. She's a municipal worker in New York who is very excited about this event. Listen to what she had to say.
Some people feel, oh, is this a dictatorship because you're bringing the military? Well, actually, no. Without military involvement, this country would have not been able to survive as long as we have. And the fact that he's our president, you know, he is a Republican, but he's the president of every citizen of the United States. So it's not partisan, it's nonpartisan.
We also spoke to Alex Robb. He's a 26-year-old veteran of the Navy. He was active duty until last year. He disagrees. Here's what he had to say.
I feel it's kind of self-centered. It's not needed. The military is here to guard our national interests, and they're just not needed here. The world already knows how strong we are. We don't need to broadcast that.
So there are a lot of different opinions, and as you can tell in some of those scenes, it's raining here in Washington, but people are still out here. I'm really excited to hear the president, so we'll have to see how it goes.
Well, the weather is threatening, but we are told the president is going to speak within the hour. And Yamiche, you're going to be covering it. We're going to try to come back to you at the end of the program. Thank you.
Thanks, Judy.